Okay.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. We'll go ahead and we'll call our meeting, Whatcom County Fire District 4 Board of Fire Commissioners meeting to order at 12 o'clock straight up. How about that? And before we get into any business, why don't we just take a quick roll call to share who we have with us today. And we'll start
Commissioner Chamberlain.
Parks.
Jason Vanderveen.
And Commissioner Hanson. All right, well, very good. Hopefully everybody's been surviving this definitely wild times in our lives, not just COVID any longer, but the wildland fires that are devastated not only our state, but the state of Oregon, state of California, and virtually across the country, or across the many of the states. I believe Colorado was faced with some pretty big fires themselves, as well as Utah, but anyway, enough on that. We'll go ahead and we're going to move forward. I do want to make a point of Commissioner Andrews had ongoing appointments today that conflicted, and so he will not be joining us. So it is an excused absence today. And so Commissioner Chamberlain and I will hold down the fort along with you, Chief, and you, Chris. So on that note, why don't we go ahead and I'd make a motion. We have a consent agenda in front of us. Consent agenda consists of meeting minutes from the August 19th, 2020 regular meeting. Everybody should have received those. And if there's nobody had any questions on those, we'll have that. We'll have the staff report, and we should have received that. Financial reports, 2 vouchers, District 4 direct deposit payroll of $5,530, and the District 4 expenditure voucher of $1,763.38. I'd go ahead and make a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted. Do I have a second on that? Or?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Without further discussion, the motion carries and the consent agenda is approved.
Approved. I say aye.
All right, great. And then next in line is old business. We don't really have anything to discuss there. Fire district response activity report, except that I want to say, Chief, thank you for getting me the information. And that was, and if I believe Commissioner Chamberlain, you probably received those, and if you didn't receive, did you share that with Commissioner Chamberlain as well, Chief?
I didn't, but what I'd like to do, if I could, share my screen with you real quick.
Yes, please.
Some of the
it was very impressive.
Well, this is going to be a little different.
Uh-oh.
I have to. No. I think this will still be on the impressive category. But, they warn us. It's a tool called Continuum. It's in Image Trend. I can't zoom in too close because it will show some more sensitive information about the calls, but it will give you an idea. It will give you a visual picture of where you're seeing calls, or where you're seeing calls in District 4, as well as I'll drop down and show you the fire blocks last year versus this year. Now, one thing, when we look at the fire blocks, you got to remember that we've created new fire blocks because of the auto aid agreement with Bellingham, where we used to have large fire blocks, just like basically we had one for 11, one for 12, one for 13.
Sure.
I've gone ahead, Bellingham and us have chopped them up to make them more rig specific and to get better service for the customer in there. So we're not just blanketly signing, say, Station 6 is the second in aid car way down in the south end, where it could be where Station 4 might be the better choice. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, can everybody see this?
Yep.
Okay, so what we're looking at here is a map, and if I back up, you can see this is all of District 21's calls. This is just for the past month. So if I zoom in, if I get in close enough, you'll be able to see the city limits right here. And it drops us it shows us where each call occurs. Now, if we've got clusters in here, you can see the space of the cluster. There were 6 calls within this triangle.
Wow.
As we move out, you can see where these calls are here up on near Emerald Lake. We move up into the Station 13 area. I'll back out a little bit. And so here's Smith Road, Hannigan. It can plot all these. What it has a hard time doing is the reports we're used to looking for, which is just, for whatever reason, we're having a hard time getting the old spreadsheets out of it, right? When you transfer the data, it doesn't come across quite the way we'd like to look at it. Here's one example, like here's the sole call really in Station 11's area. So
it's been busy out there.
Yeah. So it is interesting to see the calls plotted out on a map. And I can do this.
So
do this for the last year. We can change it. And you can see, more of where calls are centered in this area. And these are all calls that District 21 units, and right here, it's going to be Commissioner Hanson, I sent you that document that had all the calls where the Station 12 is responding into the city. And that's
right.
What you're seeing here is all these calls where 12's gotten pulled into the city. So this would be something that if individually, if you guys wanted to make we wanted to set up an appointment, we could sit down and look at this. Like I said, I'm a little hesitant to go in too deep because it does start to show the nature of calls.
No.
And addresses, and I want to protect, we need to protect those. As I move down here, this is where we can see by fire block.
Oh, I like this report a lot better than the way I was looking at it.
Right. The problem is I can't, other than printing a screenshot, I can't transfer. There's no way to transfer this onto paper.
I don't.
This is certainly something I could bring up at the board meetings if you'd like to see it. And this way you can see, Station 11 is still one fire block, but it's going to give you the calls, per month. So
That's
you can
exactly what we want to see.
Right. This is more what you want to see. Now they do, when I log into this system, what it does say that there can be mistakes. And
sure.
Like and maybe they're just going above and beyond and saying, look, there can be mistakes with any computer program, but it is a way easier way to see the data than on a spreadsheet. I think the shortfall is that I can't transfer this to a page.
Can I step in for a sec?
Absolutely.
I'm speaking for myself, and I'm not sure how Commissioner Andrews or Commissioner Chamberlain feel about it, but I really respect, first off, the fact that we are keeping that information confidential as it should be. There's certain stuff we shouldn't share. I think that for my sake, having the ability to come in and sit down with you and you pull this report up and walk through it is probably much more beneficial for me, because you can explain it and make me put it in a term that I can understand. So I sure don't have a problem with it not being able to be printed out, because you could cut and paste and shrink it down, but you've got enough work to do. That's my personal thought. I don't know about you, Mark.
No, I agree too.
So the reason you're seeing some of these huge year-to-date changes, that's where we made new fire blocks. That's not increase or decrease of calls. It's because like 1201 or 120001 used to be its own fire block, and we've created 02, 03, 04, and 05. That's why you're seeing these big changes year after year. So anyway, that I just wanted to show you that and show you kind of we can, if you'd like to continue getting the spreadsheet style, or I'm happy to share my screen. I think this is an easier way to do it. But if your wishes or something else, just let me know.
Commissioner Chamberlain?
I am fine with that. I don't see the need for anything else.
I support Mark.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here. And
Chris, did you have any input on that?
Oh, I'm fine. Whatever report you would like to see is fine. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good software to use. Shows a lot of detail.
Is that something that we put together, or not we, you, Chief?
I totally invented this. No, absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
No, this
Next
is
time, just go for it.
this is a package. This is a piece of image trend that they offer on. They offer to like command officers. We could probably get Chris set up with it.
Oh, nice.
We can certainly ask. It's, you know, it won't hurt asking. We just need to ask Jeremy at the county. Chris, you can email him and ask to add that module to your.
Yeah, I doubt that'd be any problem at all. That's great. Well, I really appreciate that that input and that additional time you obviously had to put in to share that with us today. I was pretty impressed just with the reports that you had sent me. I will be honest, I did not realize the number of responses just within our district boundaries. You know, I remember going back to my district 2 days, and if we had 3 calls in a week, we were getting our butts kicked. So it's a big difference in you know, where we've come in 30 years, some amount of years. But all right, any other questions or any more input in regards to responses?
None here.
I think it just is another prime great example of why moving forward with this RFA is so important. It is, they're not going to continue to lessen. I wish we could think that our call load is going to go down. I just don't see that. I think probably our call load due to COVID is probably a little less this year. Well, I know that is proven data, and not just us, across the nation. So, or definitely across our state. So on that note, I have no further in regards to that right now. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into our new business. We have a letter written out. As everybody remembers, last month the board did approve a motion to move forward with the what is my proper words that I want to use?
Surplus.
Excuse me?
Surplus. The
Oh,
station.
thank you. The surplus of Station 11. And there's an ADHD day moment. So the surplus of Station 11. However, as we went through the contracts, I think everybody understood and agreed that we did have a contract or a agreement, letter of understanding with the prior owners of the property that they would have first right of refusal to purchase that property, or first right to purchase, and if we were to sell. And that being said, as the attorneys and it was all looked at, it was determined that the property was owned by the Albee family, husband and wife. The husband has since passed away, and the property is owned by Sandra Albee. And with a little investigative work, we determined and found out her address and residence in Sammamish, Washington. And we went ahead and drafted a letter that would be sent to her following, as we're required to do. We would send that letter out immediately, and that would go out registered mail. And that letter would be required that we have a signature of the board chair or a designee. I don't really get too concerned about that, but if you want, I would be glad to sign that. Uh-oh. Are we gone, everybody?
Oh, you're still here.
Oh,
Okay, my screens all went black at my house. I'm coming back up. Let's see here. All right, one moment. Anyway, you can still hear me. Is that correct? Can you see me still?
Yep, we can see you and hear you.
That's perfect. So on that note, I guess what we're looking for is, did everybody see that letter? Mark, did you get a chance to review the letter?
From
To Sandra Albee.
Yeah, I did.
All right. And is there anybody have any concern, even Chief, did you happen to review the letter?
I did look at it.
And is everybody fine with that? The only thing we need to do is add the date. And I believe we're supposed to, it's a 2-week, it would be probably the fair time allotment. So I think if we put the end of the month, Chris, is that we need a return response by, I think that would be probably prudent that we do that.
Okay.
I don't have any other changes or concerns.
All right, so if everybody's good with that, then we could go ahead and motion to approve the letter as, I'll make a motion to approve the letter as written. Is there a second? Mark?
Oh yeah, I'll second it. Sorry.
No discussion. And only thing under discussion is, Chris, can you give us a date that you're going to put on that?
You said September 30th?
That'd be fine. And as long as we both agree, then motion will carry, and so approved. All right. Anything else there? RFA planning process update. I know we had a meeting. Chief Vanderveen, you want to give us a bit of an update on that?
Yes. So we had our first meeting, and we went over several items, the biggest of which was interest in reaching out to a consultant to help us with the planning process. I spoke with Chief Ralston from, formerly of South Whatcom. He indicated that while he's flattered by our ask, he has little to no interest in interrupting his golf and fishing time to do so. He did also really only the name Karen Reed kept popping up, and I had contacted Karen earlier to talk about her interest. She did express interest and had the time. We talked at length about some of the issues or potential issues. I polled the commissioners, and we are moving forward with working with Mrs. Reed. And she has asked me, it's very similar to the master plan report that we did with the SCI a year and a half, 2 years ago. I have sent her mountains of data, including the ESCI report. She's digesting that. And as a matter of fact, Commissioner Chamberlain and I have a meeting with her at 3:00 today to talk about some more additional issues. She's bringing forward some drafts of rules and trying to think of the correct words, but guidance documents and a bunch more questions to kind of ascertain how do we make our meetings the most productive. And we should have after today, we'll have a meeting. We'll have a planned meeting for next week. We'll send out a doodle poll and get a meeting set up for next week. So I know that at least from my perspective, we're moving quick on this as we can. Like I said, there's been a lot of data that's been going out of here into her hands. So she just at first blush, she's really confident that we can get this thing put together very well, and present something wonderful to the voters to be able to decide whether they choose to move forward with the RFA. Her package includes some help with communications and packaging the message to the voter, explaining to them why and how come this is important and why it's the best thing to do. So looking forward to this afternoon's meeting with Commissioner Chamberlain and Karen Reed.
That's great. And Mark, thank you so much for taking this on.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm excited about it, and I think it's going to be successful. And yeah, it's going to be a fun time for the next 10 or 11 months. So
I had an interesting conversation with her yesterday, and she is absolutely, in my mind, after, of course, I'm a due diligence person. So as soon as I hung up from her, I spoke with 3 people that speak very highly of her. Very good friend from Marysville, another friend from down south. And they just said if we, put our faith in her and our trust in her, and Chief, you and I spoke a little bit, and it was the communications. And that's what everybody said is she's got resources that we don't that I don't know, people, that do this. She also knows Joe Quinn, and Joe knows her well and speaks highly of her. So that is a big difference. I mean, that's important. As well as she's familiar with Schmellick, Zicken, and Davis, with Rich Davis and Frank Schmellick, and speaks highly of them. So, that's half the battle when you get all that side of it worked out. The areas that I told her I think that we need to determine right away are the structure. Once we know how it's going to be structured, kind of how we see it. And she asked questions that I wished I would have been better prepared for, and it's my fault. Apparently I was forwarded the questions. However, somehow I missed them, which happens from time to time. And so I don't think I was as helpful to her as I probably could have been. The plan that I'm only really the most familiar with is South Whatcom Fire and Rescue's plan. And I've really been impressed with because I read that several times and tried to make it look like what it would look like here. And then she goes, well, what'd you like best about it? I'm like, it was kind of one of those, I like the plan, but really what I did like, and this is just for Mark as well, is it was the structure. There was five districting areas. So there's a commissioner from this area, a commissioner from this area. Each district has a commission, and not meaning fire district, but districts within the RFA. And the one thing I've always stated forward is if we were to come up with districts, and Mark and I, this is what happened at District 2, South Whatcom Fire Authority. Ron Swanson and I lived a stone throw away from each other. So we really only needed one commissioner for that area. And Ron had been there forever. So kind of like Mark and I, same type of deal. So anyway, I would definitely step back out if that was the case and Mark wanted to go forward, since he has got, much more time in life than I do. But I just want to make that point out, is I like the structure. So, but that may not be what this group recommends. But besides that, what else did we have? I think those were the main things with our questions with her. I did let her know some touching areas. One is that I wanted to show support for the chief, and that in my personal views are is that Chief Vanderveen. Are you there, Chief?
Yeah, you muted for a second there.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's right.
That Chief Vanderveen, it was totally the person that we would look to overseeing this, as well as I made my comments that I feel based on my concerns with some of the oversight with the funds and administration of the past ILA. That's old news, but that we really believe, and I believe there's more, but is the confidence that I know myself, and I know that Commissioner Andrews is going to address, is our confidence in our district administrator, Chris Parks. And those are probably 2 sticking points for us that are the most important for myself. And I think you'll hear Commissioner Andrews say the same thing. If we're going to do this, those are 2 people that need to be involved, and they are involved. Chief Vanderveen is participating, and I believe Administrator Parks is participating in the RFA process, and I think that's really important. And thanks again to Mark. If he wasn't willing to step up to the plate on that one, I think it would have been really hard for myself to do a good job there, to be honest, and objective. And then as well, Commissioner Andrews just has enough going on in his life. So That's
Thanks,
kind of
Dave.
my comments to her. Go ahead, Chief Mark.
Oh, I just said thanks, Dave.
Yeah, well, you're doing a great job. Appreciate it. Yeah. So on the next note on that, that's kind of where we're at. It'll be interesting to hear about your guys' meeting today. Hopefully that's going to be the next step to head into the next meeting and where we go with it. So that'll be great. And I think we'll probably hear back at the next meeting how that one goes. So any other notes, Mark, as you as the chair of the RFA committee?
Nope, nothing so far. I think we're still kind of in the early stages, but we're moving along fast, and I think it's really going to pick up here in the next month. So,
wow. Yeah, and I think Chief Vanderveen, you said it well. It's going to be a fast-paced next. It's tomorrow already. You know, that's what we always say in the business world is, you know, August 21st is less than a year away. And so it's right next door. Just so everybody knows, so is Christmas. So things are flying. So all right. On that note, I have nothing further on that process. And if Commissioner Chamberlain doesn't, I'd say we'll move off it. Okay, where are we at? Does anybody want to talk about this type 2 notification and application and optional DNS process? That's a building plot if nobody knows, I believe it is.
It is. It's right. It's right. It's kitty corner to the administration building is kind of the best way for me to say it. It would be southwest of the administration building. And you can see by looking at page 2, it's a big triangle and what is it, 4 or 5 apartment buildings, 4 large apartment buildings. And then the access will drop out onto Britton Loop Road will be kind of the
So is that county or is that our district or is that city?
Well, it's in our district, but it's city as far as planning and community development, right? So, I did ask my staff here to let us know what action's taken, just so we can keep track, because that could be a fair amount more traffic on Britton Loop Road, just so we can kind of keep an eye on it.
Okay. I had a couple of comments. One is I've been asked to attend a meeting, and I'm looking for making sure that Commissioner Chamberlain is acceptable with this, but a meeting with Chief Vanderveen and Chief Hewitt to discuss the current ILA with Bellingham for the training grounds and the future direction that we'd like that they're liking to propose, not I. They're proposing on the fire safety or on the training grounds. And I know we've all kind of spoke about this, but Chief Vanderveen made an excellent point. These guys have got a lot on their plate already. He didn't say that, but they do. And to ask them to dive in and start putting time and effort into coming up with a proposal and a plan for this development of the safety training consortium. Is that the correct terminology? Really, they need to know they have our blessing and our support to move forward. And I believe that's kind of
yes, sir.
What your thought is, Chief? You want to comment?
We just wanted to get, we wanted to know what the parameters were from the elected officials and what their desire was as far as, so that we could both hear it and all three of us would know kind of where the goalpost is as far as where we're headed with this planning, and also so that Commissioner Hansen can hear us talk about the training consortium and kind of where the planning is going for that in the future. So as we look at this new ILA or revamped ILA, how does the training consortium fold into that? So Commissioner Hansen can hear, straight from both horses' mouth where we're going with this and how the training grounds are going to be. Hoping that that's a part of it.
That's very good. Commissioner Chamberlain, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, you're just sitting in listening on the conversation.
absolutely.
Yep.
And the only feedback is that obviously we're not going in there to make any decisions or make any calls on behalf of our board, but more to be able to come back to our board. And with Chris, if matter of fact, if Chris wants to have involvement or be there or have listening, that's fine with me. But that way we're able to get information back to each commissioner. I can't come back and send you guys all information. So, but the whole goal is to hear what their thoughts are at first, just to make sure that this is the direction we want to go, and for them to be able to. What I can do after that meeting, though, is ask the chief to put out information as well to each commissioner on kind of their thoughts on that. Mark?
I am 100% confident in Chief Vanderveen's ability to report back to us on everything that goes on in those meetings. And I don't have any problem with you sitting in on those, Dave, and listening and being a part of that process. And,
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Commissioner Chamberlain, just for clarification, we just wanted him to come to the first one.
Yeah.
Just so we know the guidelines we're going to work in, and then from there we'll take care of the rest of it. That's not what you guys are here for.
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like you guys have the best interest of the district and also the departments that want to partake in that consortium.
Yeah.
And I actually look forward to the future of that, and I think it's going to be beneficial to all the districts in this county.
That's fine. And Chief Vanderveen, we've had this discussion before, and I'll just re-clarify it as we appreciate everything you're doing, and we appreciate the communication and the response. And as much as I appreciate you keeping, we need to understand in our district, and we do, but as well as supporting our community members, is we do have a district administrator. She is in sense our highest level of staff, and she is. There's not a question as you report to the District 21 board. So as much as you can keep Chris in the loop on things as you've been doing, that's so important, and I appreciate that. I believe Commissioner Chamberlain appreciates that. I know Commissioner Andrews does, and that's very important to us. So thank you for doing that, because she's great at reaching out and sending us and plenty of emails to keep us posted. I get up and she'll ask me if I've read my emails, and so on that note, we'll just move off of that, and unless there's anything else. Okay. I had something else here. You didn't hear properly. One last thing for the end. I did talk about that. I participated in a risk assessment audit. Is that correct, Chris? Is that what we call it, with the state auditor's office in regards to our ongoing required audit? I was a little uncomfortable for the only sake is it was for the years 2018, 2019. So it was easy for me to answer, no, I have no knowledge of this or that, because I don't. And Commissioner Andrews it wasn't a good time for him right now. And so I did the best we could. It seemed to go very well. I had no concerns that I listed with him at all. He was pleased. I do want to again re-stress is he basically commented that I don't traditionally say too much, but he wanted to really give a lot of emphasis and kudos on Chris Parks, Mrs. Parks' input and working with him and her inner knowledge. And he said that it was definitely makes life very easy, unlike some of the other audits that he's participated in. So I think that was just great to hear that. Every time we hear those things, that's just a good feeling for myself as a commissioner, as I believe the other commissioners, because that's the person looking out for the overall financials and documentation of our community members. So it's a big job, Chris, and I just want to give you a special recognition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Down here.
Okay. If there's nothing else, Chris, do you have anything else for the good of the business today?
No, I don't.
Okay. Anything from you, Chief?
No, sir.
Commissioner Andrews? Or Commissioner, he's not here. Neither am I, apparently. Commissioner Chamberlain?
No, sir.
All right. I always like to close out the meetings on
Well,
positives. I just
you
believe
could,
I gave one, but I really want to give another
Commissioner
kudos.
Hanson. Hang on.
Chris says something.
You might want to announce the next board meeting, just to make sure it works for everybody.
Can you do that for us?
Yep, the next board meeting is scheduled for October 20th at noon.
October 20th
Yep.
at 12 o'clock. Very good. If anybody,
I'm on shift that day.
Okay.
what do
That's a Tuesday, correct?
should be a Wednesday.
No, Tuesday the 20th.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Is there a reason we went with a Tuesday? Could we switch it to, I know Commissioner Andrews probably has no problem with it, as I probably have no problem with it. Could we switch it? Would it be acceptable, Commissioner Chamberlain, if we could switch to Wednesday the 21st?
Yeah.
Especially with the RFA stuff going on, I think you're going to start having a lot more to provide to us that's real. That's probably more partial to today's world.
I'll try.
you'll
It's
do
a
great.
lot. It's
You'll
a
do
big
great.
elephant.
I tell you, you're taking on a heck of an important position.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Excited about it.
Chris, is that acceptable?
Yeah, that's acceptable. It's the last
So why don't we
day
make a motion?
for payroll.
I'll make a motion to change the next regularly scheduled commissioner meeting to October 21st, 2020, from 2020 from October 20th, 2020 to the 21st. You know what I'm trying to say. Chris, you put it into words.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? None? We'll move forward. Thanks. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close out the meeting with this one. And once again, Chief Vanderveen, there's not a lot more I can add to what we really believe in the job you're doing. I think you're doing an amazing job. Our wealth share is part of the closed audit with with Karen Reed, with my conversation with Karen Reed, that she asked me if I saw an area that we really needed to focus on during the RFA planning and moving forward. And that was staff support, getting you support. You wear a lot of hats right now. And here's just a prime example is I received a phone call from you last week. I appreciated you reaching out to me, and we tag teamed together on locating a property owner for Squalicum Mountain. A concern that I've had many of my friends ask me about that live on Academy Street, that live up by Toad Lake, and with the fire hazards and concerns that are going on, that we all our state is facing right now. There were questions and concerns about the motorcycles and I guess ATV, the sports vehicles up there without spark arresters and going and riding on the properties. And working together, we were able to locate the property owner. I spoke with him and then set him up to speak with Commissioner Vanderveen. Or I spoke with their forestry manager at first, and then I think I received a call back from the landowner, and who actually I believe lives up the top up there somewhere too. And they were both just more than cooperative, supporting to me that, boy, we appreciate you reaching out. And Chief Vanderveen then had contact with him. And from what I understand, they've agreed to get in there and make sure that they their gates are up and they post their land. So Chief, I want to thank you so much for asking me for some support and being able to support you. And I know that from our entire board and from our administration, that anything we can do to assist you in doing your job and take a little load off you, don't ever hesitate to ask.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, last chance for comments. All right, I'll go ahead and make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 12:40 p.m.
Second it.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
No, bye. All right, everybody, and Mark and Dave, I should say Dave because I always forget to go sign my documents. Mark's always diligent and goes up and does it.